Hey everyone, so I wanted to talk about something a little bit different today. Most of you know that I have a book editor background, and some of you seemed kind of interested in that, so I thought we'd have a little bit of an editor discussion. So I kind of wanted to talk about 3 common mistakes that I see in fiction, generally with new authors. These are minor things, and honestly, I'll probably continue talking about this, maybe make a few other videos, because I think these really small things can help with the pacing of the novel. They can help tighten up the language and ultimately help you connect with readers. Before we dive into that, I did want to address something, and that is the misconceptions that people have of book editors. A lot of people tend to think of editors as these snobby, mean monsters with their red pen going on a mission to crush your dreams and cackling at their computers, fixing all of these grammatical errors. Monsters. Monsters. You think we're all monsters. But I want to tell you that that could not be further from the truth. In fact, I might go off on a little bit of a tangent, so this might be a 2-part video. We'll see what happens. But really, book editors who care, are not in it to rip up your manuscript. Yes, there may be some uncomfortable things that, you might have to address as an author. But you have to think of your editor as a partner. You have to think of your editor as like that friend who will let you know if you have lipstick on your teeth. Like, we are here to help you. Ultimately, we're here to help you connect with readers. We're here to watch a better product emerge, to help you with your revision. I just want that to kind of be like the underlying theme of this video. It's important that you know that I don't take lightly the fact that authors hand over their manuscripts to me. That is a very vulnerable thing. Your manuscript is your baby. It's precious. I get that. I don't take that lightly. And so I really can't stress that enough. You created something. You sat down and you wrote a book, and that's something to be celebrated. So just know that before we go into this. And also, I want to say that I understand for first-time authors that it can be frustrating to work on something and to know where you want to go with your work. You have the idea, you have the vision, you have the good taste. Ira Glass talks about this. He talks about it, he calls it the gap. I'll try to link it down below if I can find it, but he basically talks about that gap between knowing what you want to create and just not being there yet, because practice makes perfect, and you have to work hard with any creative project to get to kind of where you want to be. And I know it can be frustrating. Sometimes you have to create that terrible first draft or that second draft or that third draft that just is bad. It's not useless. You're doing the hard work. You're revising, and revising takes courage. It takes courage to write a book, to really put yourself out there and entrust your manuscript with someone like me. So I respect you, and I find it incredibly brave. Whew, I could do a whole video on that. We're gonna keep trucking along here. So the first common mistake that I see a lot in fiction, kind of the overused words or techniques that I see, include masking emotions with strong verbs. So many writers are able to show readers what's happening with a character. But often when it comes to emotions, it's really, really easy to tell us what's going on instead of show us. You've heard show, don't tell. I'm sure if you're a writer, you've heard it. But this is a really overused technique that kind of creates the illusion of a powerful scene or a powerful emotion. But when you take a closer look, you realize that it doesn't really tell the reader anything. Examples. Fear slammed into her. Sadness strangled him. Anger shot through her. Doubt and fear rose in her chest. These are not bad sentences, let me be clear, but they are masking emotion. At first, they seem like really solid, strong sentences, but they're actually more abstract. Rather than writing these ambiguous sentences, ask yourself if you can show how a character is confused or scared or angry. Ask yourself if it shows how a character really is. If it doesn't convey the physical and mental associations with that emotion, then it's a telling sentence. I want to take a second here to recommend a resource called The Emotion Thesaurus, The Writer's Guide to Character Expression. I'll link it down below. It is the best resource if you struggle with conveying body language or just really showing what's going on with a character rather than telling. Number 2, using unnecessary words such as started to or began to or begin to or start to. This seems like so minor it's almost not even worth mentioning, but I promise you that if you keep a lookout for these words, you will tighten up your language. You will improve the overall pacing of your novel. Keeping an eye out for unnecessary words is the best thing you can do. Now, what do I mean by empty words? When someone starts to do something, they're already doing it. When she starts to walk down the driveway, she is walking. If he begins to cook dinner, he is cooking dinner. I think a lot of writers tend to use empty words to build tension or suspense, but really it's not helping with the pacing. As with all writing guidelines, don't go eliminating every time you see this word, but just ask yourself, can I remove this? If it's not adding value, it's gone. The third one is kind of a few issues combined, and that is over-explaining or insulting the reader's intelligence. Now, this isn't something that I experienced just as an editor. I'm sure you as a reader have seen this in novels. I like to call it info dumping. You know when a story in the first, few pages of a chapter, when they just kind of like dump all of this information on you. And it's something that could have easily unfolded naturally in the story through dialogue or descriptions. And I'm not saying that readers need to be confused on what's going on in the first chapter or whatever, but play around with how you reveal certain information. Can you reveal it naturally through dialogue? That's the info dumping part. The over-explaining or insulting a reader's intelligence has to do more with kind of using unnecessary words. Again, there's nothing worse for a reader's experience when the author is watering down what's going on. Here's an example of what I mean. I don't understand why you did that to me, said Molly with a confused look on her face. So is that dialogue tag necessary? Not really. If it's clear by the dialogue that Molly doesn't understand something, it's probably safe to say that you don't have to tell the reader that she has a confused look on her face. If it's not necessary, it slows down the story. Those are my 3 teeny tiny bits of advice, just common overused words and techniques that I see in fiction, generally with first-time authors. Again, these are things that we all do. These are things that I'm sure I would do if I wrote a book. And I think practice makes, maybe not perfect, but you'll get there. You will improve and hone your craft. So anyway, I would love to know, as readers or maybe your editors and writers out there, what are some pet peeves of yours, or what are some common mistakes that you find in your everyday reading experience? So I will probably be making more editor talk videos like this if you guys enjoy it. If you'd like to get into that, leave a comment. I love to nerd out about this kind of stuff. And yeah, I will talk to you soon. Bye.